So before I get into the story of YMCA and Zscaler, I'd like to do an introduction of basically what the YMCA is. So YMCA is the nation's largest not-for-profit organization where we're committed to supporting communities through youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. The YMCA consists of a YMCA of the USA, which is the National Resource Center for the local YMCAs. And there are over 960 corporate YMCAs across the country with 2,600 branches with those corporate YMCAs. And we're in over 10,000 communities in the country. We employ approximately 20,000 full-time staff, and there are over 500,000 volunteers supporting the YMCA. So YMCA of the USA is based in Chicago, and we had a need to protect our users' computer systems as well as worrying about security and liability for the organization. And as you can imagine, like any other enterprise organization, even though we're a non-for-profit, that same level of security risk exists for us. So we needed a solution, and we decided that we would go out and find this. And through our endeavors, we discovered, actually I talked to a peer from a local law firm who was explaining to me how a few months before that they deployed Zscaler and how excited he was for not only that they were able to get this, the security covered everything they needed for their clients. So I thought, well, you know what, if it's good for a large Chicago law firm, then it's got to be good for YUSA. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to get a better handle on our malware detection and prevention because we were seeing on a daily basis infected systems, somewhere in the ballpark of maybe 5 per week. And we had very big challenges trying to figure out where these infections were coming from. And as you can imagine, with a help desk staff of 2, they were adversely affected by the threats. Productivity levels were down. Not only that, is 1/3 of our staff are actually based in remote locations. They work out of their homes across the country, and when they were infected, then we had to take the downtime for their computer to be shipped to Chicago, work on their machine, and ship it back, and the expense and sending the machines back and forth was getting to us. So what we decided was Zscaler was going to be a solution that we could certainly use to help us with this, and it did. So since rolling out Zscaler, there have been 0 infections, and IT productivity has increased dramatically to the point now that we can actually support some of the organizational strategic initiatives better. So we're becoming that strategic partner that the business is looking for. We learned in the whole process of evaluating solutions that we needed to control and monitor social media behavior. We were certain that users were going to places that they shouldn't be, and we needed to insight into the web usage. Zscaler gave us what we needed. We were able to set policies based on groups, and even so, we were able to get down to the level of a single user. We're able to control where users can go now and protect them from the malware attacks. And one of the big things is we were able to reduce the organizational liability exposure. This is a big thing for us, where as a non-for-profit, we need to ensure that we're adhering to certain rules and regulations that are governed by the government for non-for-profits. So this solution of Zscaler hit it on the head for us, and we were able to satisfy the needs of the organization. We had really no way to analyze and report on the web usage that was going on in the environment. So what we needed to do is we needed to identify the causes and the sources of the malware. And with Zscaler, we were able to get that information through real-time reporting as well as management reports. And one of the biggest things that we discovered, believe it or not, was that the majority of the infections were actually coming from legitimate websites. So, for instance, people were going to Google and they were clicking on ads, but, well, they were malicious ads and they were being infected. And as a typical user, clicking on things that they thought was legitimate, and now we have an infected machine. So as implementing Zscaler, we were able to get the insight into what was actually happening. And the reports are phenomenal for our management report. My management team wanted better reporting, better insight into what was going on, and why are we spending 10 to 15 hours per week cleaning up machines. And we were able to do that. And the ability to create the exceptions for different groups was great as well. So we have a legal department who has to actually go to some pretty questionable sites as they look for usage of the Y logo or the Y content on these sites, and where they can then send out cease and desist notices. So we were able to satisfy that need for that specific group of departments. So with the small IT staff in the operations side, what I needed to do was find a solution that was easily deployable, and Zscaler gave us that ability. Using SCCM and group policy, we were able to roll out to the entire organization. What we did at first was a pilot. Once we procured the solution, we piloted the solution to IT only. And what we wanted to do was do a silent rollout. So it just happened to be on the machines and started collecting data without our users knowing that. And there was some minor tweaks that we had to make with some of the applications that the developers were using. But after that, we were good to go. So the next step was to roll out to a small group of staff. So we chose 2 to 3 people from each department that we have. And again, we had to make a few tweaks to different things that the departments were using. Some departments have applications that others don't, as you can imagine. So we were able to make those tweaks, ensure everything was working properly. And then once we were satisfied with everything, we pushed it out to the entire organization. Again, we used SCCM and group policy to do this. And we pushed out the pack file and Zscaler agent. And the reason we're using the Zscaler agent is because of about 1/3 of our machines are not in 101, or 101 is the offices here in Chicago. I apologize for that. I always call it 101. But inside of our Chicago network, we hardly see about 1/3 of our machines. So in order to get group policy, a lot of them don't connect to VPN, so we use the agent to ensure that they're actually using the proxy. So in summarization, what we got from Zscaler is we've got a seamless deployment and rollout of an application or a solution that met the needs that we were looking for. As a non-for-profit organization, we had to take things into consideration, and that was the solution had to be both efficient and economical, and we've got both of those in the solution from Zscaler. The detailed weekly reports that we give to management now are a home run. And I guess the icing on the cake, you could say, would be the fact that since the implementation of Zscaler, we have had no infections since we deployed this, which is just phenomenal. And now my team, instead of wasting 10 to 15 hours per week, are actually working on productive projects, and we're making strides in some of the strategic objectives of both the department and the organization.